Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to come on and talk about a couple things. First and foremost, thanks for all of the support with my ladder videos and the DEI hires. I appreciate all of you following me. They are funny videos, but they all have a meaning behind them. And the reason that I wanted to come on and do this video today is because there's a lot of young people who don't know the significance of how serious and funny those are together at the same time, I guess you could say, with the videos that I just did. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about September 11th. Basically, on September 11th, 2001, they said that a group of hijackers hijacked some planes, crashed into the Twin Towers, crashed into Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon. Their official statement that they gave to everybody was that, 4 planes were hijacked with box cutters, mind you, okay? The pilots are behind sealed doors for their protection so that way nobody can hijack these planes. They were sealed in there, but these individuals had box cutters and were able to penetrate the cabin, take control of these planes, and fly them into their areas that they were, targeting. It was the first time in U.S. history that 3 buildings had been brought completely down by jet fuel. In world history, it was the first time that it's ever happened. Okay? And they only burned for a couple of minutes each and collapsed within the footprint of each other. Okay? The 4 black boxes that were in these airplanes, they are virtually indestructible. They cannot be destroyed, okay? But all of them were destroyed completely. There was no way to get any footage off from these little black boxes, okay? They completely destroyed. The buildings from burning with jet fuel, the Twin Towers and Building 7, all collapsed within their own footprint. Like, it almost looked like it was a demolition deal to bring them down, but it was because of jet fuel. They all fell within each other. The planes completely disintegrated. Their 30-ton engines gone, completely disintegrated. That's probably a little big, but I know that they weigh a couple of tons, each of these engines. Completely disintegrated, completely gone. There was no trace of the black boxes, the planes, anything, gone. But they were able to find the hijacker's passport on the sidewalk in New York City just below the towers, so they knew exactly who did it. So let's recap that. 3 buildings fell, airplanes completely disintegrated, the black boxes completely disintegrated, and these things were built to withstand that kind of stuff. And they found the passport, which is known substance made of paper, survived all of that and landed on the sidewalk. And instantly they knew who did it, and we went to war for 20-some years. So that's why I made those jokes. Like I said, I do not condone anybody trying to assassinate the president. I think that that was horrific, that was even able to happen. But it just goes to show when our government gets involved and when there is an investigation that's going to take place, just know that these are the things that they're going to tell you. That none of it is going to make sense, and it's going to seem like somebody is giving you a comedy bit. Like, it's not going to make sense whatsoever. Like I said, there was 4 planes, and we talked about 3 of them, or 2 of them at the time. The plane in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, September 11th, 2001, crashed into a field. Okay, this is a Boeing 747, and they showed a hole in the ground that was, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 feet wide, a couple feet deep. They said that the plane, upon impact, disintegrated. The black box disintegrated, and all of the people that were aboard that plane disintegrated. Gone. There was nothing to show for it besides a little dirt hole in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and it was just gone, disintegrated. Okay? The other plane hit the side of the Pentagon building, which, mind you, this is a Boeing 747, and there's cameras all over the Pentagon building. The only frame that they ever showed us was of a orange flash. It was less than 1 second long. And they said that this plane completely disintegrated. Okay, hit the building, disintegrated, but yet went all the way through, punching a hole that was circular and came out the other side. Which, if anybody knows anything about a Boeing 747, they're made of like aluminum and tin in the front, but the engines are basically indestructible. I mean, there would be signs of a engines left, and there wasn't. It completely disintegrated. Nothing left of that airplane. And devastation. I mean, there was tons and tons of wreckage that happened that particular day to the Pentagon. Now let's take a look at the part of the Pentagon that was hit. They were about ready to do an investigation because the federal government had lost $230 trillion. And the part of the building that was struck by the plane was the building that housed all of those documents, and it completely destroyed, gone. Okay? So, like I said, when it comes to government investigations, it seems like someone is telling jokes and that this is extremely funny and that is unbelievable. Like, there is no way that that was the official statement. But these are the official things that were given to us as, we were growing up. And another thing that I just found that I didn't realize, okay, on September 11th, 2001, the Twin Towers were capable of holding 130,000 people. Okay? 130,000 people. That's what they were built to hold. And on any given week, there was 50,000 people working in those buildings every week. Okay? 50,000 people. When the incident took place on September 11th, 2001, there was 2,996 casualties. Horrific? Yes, it is. It's very horrific that almost 3,000 people lost their lives. But why was there not more casualties? Well, let's look into that. Jeb Bush, George Bush, who was the president at the time's brother, was the head of security at the Twin Towers. His brother, Jeb Bush, was conducting some maintenance of the building. So most of the whole building was closed down. There was areas taped off, and they were, basically fixing things in the building. So there was hardly anybody there. The people that were there weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to be taking time off, but they went there anyways. The other thing that is interesting about that is in the bottom of the Twin Towers, there was rumored to be $200 billion in gold that we were housing for other countries. And it was later released that they recovered about 30 million of the gold in the back of a dump truck in some secret tunnels that was on the outskirts of the New York City in some underground tunnels or whatever, and there was an Arab driving the truck. That was an official statement that was released, but they never recovered any of the rest of the gold. It just disintegrated, apparently, from the jet fuel as well. Some other things that were very interesting about the September 11th attacks. Apparently, they said that Osama bin Laden was behind it 100%. Well, anybody that has researched history knows that Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA. His daughter dated John Legend, but this was the person that we were after, and we went after him for years. Like I said, the war that went on after September 11, 2001 was 21 years, and I've seen many videos, many movies, many things that have come out about thermite plasma that was that they had tested stuff. I've heard about the insurance payments that were given to the guy who owned the buildings in the billions of dollars ranges. We've heard about the asbestos that was in the building that was going to cost millions and millions of dollars to renovate. I mean, we've heard tons of stories, but in the end, when you look at it, it was because war generates money. War is money to these people in power and to our government. And for 21 years, they had basically an open checkbook. They could spend and spend and spend and spend. They spent money that you couldn't even imagine. Like Joe Biden's brother was one of their contractors that they hired to do contracting work in Afghanistan. Okay? The man has probably never worked a hammer a day in his life, but this guy's getting billions of dollars contracts to build and rebuild Afghanistan. Okay? They spent like something like $50 million or $50 billion to fly sheep over to Afghanistan. Sorry about that. They flew sheep over there for them to raise cashmere to make money. All the sheep died. They sent contractors over to build buildings for our U.S. troops that cost $80 billion to build. And we never stepped foot in these buildings, and they were blown up and destroyed. So if that kind of gives you any insight to when, like I said, when I was doing these ladder videos and I was talking about DEI, I'm talking about the hidden truth inside the funniness. I mean, it is horrible to think that these are official stories that were given to us and told to us that this is what happened, and you just have to believe it, and that's the way it goes. And it's going to be the same way with the investigation into the Trump assassination. As you can see today already, today is Monday the 22nd, 2024, they interviewed Kimberly Cheadle, and she did not answer any questions. She said that the Secret Service basically fumbled the ball, and that was all she could really say because it's an ongoing investigation. That they basically aren't going to do anything. And that's what I'm trying to explain with these, when I'm talking about September 11th and things that have happened. It seems like it's a joke. It does. It literally seems like it's funny. But these are the things that there's hidden truths in these. Like, these people are telling us these stories, but they make no sense on what they're telling us. Like I said, we could go on and on and on for hours about September 11th because a lot of it makes no sense. It does not make sense whatsoever, like the phone calls from the airplanes. We just recently started to get the capabilities to call from airplanes with utmost certainty from cell phones. Normally, you would have to use a credit card and you'd have to pay, and you could use the airline phone, and it was still choppy. But these people were able, on September 11, 2001, the people that were on this plane were able to make clear, concise phone calls from their cell phone and tell everybody that they're going to miss them and whatever. And it was almost like it was scripted. It was pretty crazy. But still to this day, there are no answers because they locked up their results for 75 years and told us that we can reinvestigate in 75 years. Whenever something goes down in the government, it's either 55, 155, 75 years that they lock it up for. The other thing I wanted to tell you about was when we're talking about the ladder videos that I did and the official statements that came out with stuff, I wanted to talk about the JFK assassination and the magic bullet, okay? A lot of people don't know that when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, they said that Lee Harvey Oswald shot 3 bullets, okay, and killed the president. Well, one of the bullets that hit John F. Kennedy came through the back of his neck, out the front, hit Senator, what was his name, John Connally, in the back, went through his back, through his hand, and then embedded into his leg. This bullet actually never mangled. Like when you see lead and it hits something, it usually mushrooms or crumples up. This particular bullet is still cylindrical, doesn't look like it has hit anything a day in its life, but this is the bullet that they said that they pulled from his leg. This bullet went through John F. Kennedy's neck, this guy's back, which, wearing a bulletproof vest, all of that stuff, went through his wrist, which is bone, and then embedded into his leg and never mushroomed. And they said that was, like I said, once again, this is the official statement, that this guy with a bolt-action rifle shot John F. Kennedy, hitting him 3 times while he was moving in Texas in a convertible car. That's just astronomically crazy. But once all that was said and done, they dismantled the car, tore it completely apart, melted everything down, and locked up all of their findings for 75 years. Once again, it seems as if though I'm telling you a joke or leading you on to laugh and think that it's funny. But this was the official statement that we were given. This is what they told us happened. That this guy who fired at the president's motorcade in a convertible Cadillac or Lincoln, whatever he was driving in, and hit him 3 times, and that this magic bullet was able to hit him in the throat, the guy sitting in the front seat. His name was John Connally. He was a senator. Went through his bulletproof vest, through his wrist, and embedded into his leg. And all of the stories surrounding JFK, I mean, there's been numerous videos, movies. All of it points to kind of an inside job because he wanted peace and tranquility and no war. And we know throughout history, anybody that has wanted peace, tranquility, and no war has been assassinated. And, well, look what just happened. Trump wants peace, tranquility, to make America great again, and no war. And what did they try to do? I mean, it's just the way it is in the United States. This is something that happens quite regularly. You wouldn't think it does, but it does happen quite regularly. So that is another story. The other thing, with melting the car down and rebuilding the car, when the Twin Towers were brought down, not only did all that happen and none of it made sense, but they sold all of the scrap metal to the lowest bidder in China and had it all melted down and reconstructed without investigating any of it. Why? Why would you do that? That makes no sense whatsoever. It seems like you'd want to get to the bottom of it, but nope. They sold it to the lowest bidder in China, and it went bye-bye. The other thing I want to ask you guys is, do you know why we dropped the nuclear bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima? A lot of people's answer would most likely be because of Pearl Harbor, right? That's what you would think. Well, in December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor was attacked by Japan. Everybody knows that. It's a date that will live in infamy, for sure. I mean, it was horrible. It was a horrible attack. But, once again, the government had advanced knowledge that was going to happen and did nothing about it. Why? Why did we allow that to happen? Well, what I said previously, wars generate money, and they generate lots of money. When Congress and the president have the power of the purse during war, they have an open ticket that they can spend and spend and spend and spend, and as taxpayers, we just get to pay for it. That's just the way it goes, okay? So, Robert Oppenheimer, created the first nuclear bomb. He had an idea in his head, and he created the first nuclear bomb in 1942, okay? Then, we didn't drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki until August 5th and August 9th, 1945. Now, mind you, December 7th, 1941 is when we were attacked by Pearl Harbor. We didn't drop the bomb on Hiroshima or Nagasaki till August 5th and August 9th, 1945. Okay? This was shortly after they did the Manhattan Project and all of these other things, because they were using that nuclear bomb, that new technology, okay? So they dropped these bombs, and they had advanced intel that said that these places, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, were mostly populated with innocent women and children. They dropped it anyways, okay? 160,000 people died instantly, and millions were injured. And they had a plan with this Manhattan Project that they were originally going to use to show the power, the sheer power of the U.S. They were going to release it on Russia, Japan, and China, killing nearly 600 million people. But somehow, some way, they were talked out of it, and they didn't end up going through with the whole plan. They only dropped the two on Nagasaki and Hiroshima to show our power. And then from there on, the CIA was formed in September 18th, 1947. And it's just been one instance after another, ever since all this happened, that they just literally, none of the stories that they tell us make sense. Like I said, they're almost comical with the official statements and stories that they release. There's even a movie that was just released, I don't even know what it's called, something about the moon with, I can't even think of the guy's name. Anyways, it's about the faked moon landing. It's a movie about the faked moon landing. Like, literally, these people told us that in 1969, I think it was, that we went to the moon and landed there, brought a car to drive around, a moon rover, and literally, if you see the videos, it shows a video of us landing there and a video of us leaving. Okay? Who was videoing? Who was already on the moon videotaping when we got there? And who stayed behind to videotape when we left? That makes no sense whatsoever to me. A lot of people say that the flag was blowing in the wind. There is no wind on the moon, as far as I know. I could be wrong. But the most telling sign is that we've never went back. We had the technology in 1969 to do it, but we've never went back. And China just recently sent an unmanned aircraft to the moon, and it took this little craft that they sent 4 months to get there, and then 4 months to return. How did we do it in an afternoon? We flew there, videotaped everything, and then flew back and videotaped us leaving in an afternoon. But it took China, an unmanned aircraft, 4 months to get there. So these are things, like I said, it seems comical. Like, it seems like people are telling jokes or making funnies, and it's almost the only way that you can deal with it. Like, the only way you can deal with what our government is doing to us and telling us. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I could talk for hours about things that are going on that would curl your hair, but these are just a few of them. Like, I'm not even kidding. These are the types of situations that you think are comical, and you have to laugh about it, because if you were to sit down and really think hard that this is really what's going on in our government, you would probably cry and be a little depressed and sad about these things. But I think as an American people, we need to look into these things a lot harder and a lot further, because I wrote a book not long ago. It's called, it's right here, We the Peasants, an 8th century stronghold, okay? This goes back further than any of us can even imagine, to the Titanic sinking, to what they told us about Christopher Columbus, it goes back really far. And like I said, the only thing you can do is be labeled a conspiracy theorist, and you have to make light and joke about it, because if you were to really sit back and think of how serious some of these things are, you would literally be sad. I mean, everybody would be sad if they found out the truth of what was really going on. And all of these instances that I'm talking about have been locked up for 75 years. So that way, the only thing that I can come up with is that way everybody who was involved would be dead when we finally investigate it. No one would have to stand trial. Okay? They tried to do the same thing with the vid that just happened in 2020. The CDC and the federal government asked if they could have up to 75 years to process all the documentation and process everything, and then they would come forward and testify in front of Congress. And luckily, a federal judge said, no way, we need to know what's going on with this right away. So that one, I don't know how, but was shut down, and they did not get that 75-year ruling on that particular instance. So, but in the same light, it was all swept under the rug, and nothing is being talked about of origins or what happened or the shot or any of this stuff. It literally all got swept under the rug. So I just wanted to kind of clarify some of that stuff. Like I said, anytime you guys want to talk about Operation Northwoods, the Manhattan Project, Operation Paperclip, I talk about it in that book, We the Peasants. It's on Amazon, We the Peasants, an 8th Century Stronghold. And my pseudonym name on there is R.P. Stanton. So you could look at any of my books that I've written. The other thing that I wanted to talk quickly about is I looked up Kimberly Cheadle. Because everybody says that she worked for Pepsi and that she was not qualified and all of that. So I wanted to know a little bit more about this young lady. Well, let's just read what Wikipedia says, okay? It says, she was involved in the evacuation of Vice President of the United States Dick Cheney during September 11th attacks and served on Joe Biden's protective detail during the Obama administration, when she was assigned to the Vice Presidential Protective Detail. So she's known Joe Biden for a long time. Isn't that interesting? And she was the one that is the head of the Secret Service who was protecting Donald Trump. Huh. Yeah, interesting. And it says, in 2017-2018, she served as Deputy Assistant Director. She served as the Special Agent in Charge in Grand Rapids, Michigan office. She became the first woman to serve as the Assistant Director of Protective Operations, a unit tasked with protection of the President of the United States and his dignitaries. From 2019 to 2022, Cheadle served as the Senior Director of Global Security at PepsiCo. So she was at Pepsi-Cola. So she worked for the Secret Service, and then she lost that position and she worked for Global Security at Pepsi Corporation. And now, in 2021, President Joe Biden awarded Cheadle the Presidential Rank Award for exceptional performance in August 2022. Biden announced in 2022 the appointment of Cheadle as the Director of the United States Secret Service as she assumed office on September 17th, 2022. So, this young lady worked for Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Pepsi-Cola. So now we know why there's a lot of mishaps and missteps in the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. So I've talked to you guys for almost a half hour here. Like I said, I could talk about these things for hours and hours. If you guys want to know more and you would like me to talk about stuff more like this, definitely I am all for it. I could talk and talk and talk about our government and the corruption daily and for a long time. Hopefully this video doesn't get suppressed and you get to see it. Like and subscribe, share these videos. We'll be back with another song later and a joke of the day. I know I haven't done that in a couple days. Try to find my videos with the ladder and the Secret Service and the DEI hires, because TikTok and all them are trying to ban them. I had up to, I think, 5 million views on the one and almost 300,000 views on the other, and now they've cut me down to 400 views because they don't like the truth. Nobody out there likes the truth. So I'm trying to get it out to you guys. Like I said, it seems like they're jokes, but it's the only way to deal with the way our government is. So we'll see you on the next video. Like I said, like and subscribe. If you would like to hear more about our corrupt government, let me know in the comments, because I can sure talk about it. And if you want to have me on your show to talk about the corrupt government, let me know. I'd be more than happy to do it. And I'm ready to step up and take the lead at the Secret Service. I have some law enforcement background. I did not work for Pepsi-Cola, so I don't know if I'm qualified, but I would do it in a heartbeat. So if Donald Trump sees this message, I'm ready to go, sir. So have a good day. We'll see you on the next video.